Well, I have 6:30. Do y'all have 6:30?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And maybe the others can join us as we come. I think Vivian said she's there, so she can take our minutes. So I do want us to continue to remember so many people that's been sick with this. We've been fortunate. We've had a death yet in our county. We've had many in our state, though, many through our nation. We certainly need to remember every family that's been affected by this. And, you know, we tend to forget sometime that number stands for a human and his family, and affects a lot of individuals. So we need to keep remembering them and just pray for this pandemic to end. With that, I will call the meeting to order, and I will, first thing is to adopt the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Was that Herbie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Herbie makes a motion to adopt the agenda. We need a second.
I'll second.
Simmons seconds, and all in favor.
Aye.
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 Hey, I heard Nicole.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, got you.
Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, so that was unanimous. Next order would be to approve the minutes. I hope you've had time to look over those, and are there any corrections to the minutes?
Miss Vivian, you got that one from me? I think. There was one addition that Miss Vivian's taken care of. It wasn't material, it was just.
Wording, kind of, okay.
So motion to adopt the minutes, approve the minutes?
Okay, it makes a motion to adopt the minutes as approved there. Second.
Every second.
All right, Herbie seconds, and all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
I think they passed. I didn't hear Nicole, but I don't know if she. Okay. Next thing is the approve the monthly bills. Any questions on those?
I had two quick ones. The sheetrocking and the HVAC, that's coming out of the fire department's budget, is that correct?
Yes, that's coming out, you know, what we approved on the original $75,000 to approve, to
Approve
turn
all.
that into, yeah.
I wanted to make sure it was categorized correctly.
Yes.
And then did we have someone, the refund on the airport?
Yeah,
Was that a?
we had an individual that he wanted to go ahead and pay. I don't know if it was for a full year or something, but even though he knew, he didn't know exactly how long he would be there. His hangar somewhere else was being redone or something. And I think Vivian said, well, why don't you just pay, you know, a monthly? But he said, I want to pay it all. Then his hangar got redone, so he did leave. So
That's just a prorated refund.
prorated refund.
Okay, that's all I had.
Any other questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the monthly bills.
Motion?
Hagan makes the motion, second. Cinnamon seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. We're getting some static from somewhere.
I think it's Nicole.
Okay, Nicole, you there? Can you hear us? That must be. Okay, Sam, I think you've got a report from Mickey.
I do. Let me pull that up.
Okay.
Okay.
Didn't miss anything fun and exciting, did I?
Oh, we've
No.
made motions without you being here with us, Daniel. All right, so reporting for the Water Valley Main Street Association, Mickey Halley has sent 3 points. The Water Valley Main Street Association has received a $1,000 grant to help with a mural painting project. The second point is the State Main Street Association has proposed a Downtown Enhancement Act that will help small businesses in downtown areas in Mississippi that have been closed or otherwise hurt as a result of the lockdown or the COVID-19. The Water Valley Main Street has signed on to the letter proposing that. The third point is National Main Street is proposing a federal bill that would specifically help historic commercial districts, and Water Valley Main Street has been working with National Main Street in crafting that legislation. So he's been able to be part of those national and state level funding programs.
Okay, so we may could help out by contacting our representatives and senators on the national level there. I know it's going to be a lot of federal legislation coming down, but it's just where we are right now. Okay, anything else there?
That's it.
Okay, the Planning Commission did not meet this month. I don't think they had any requests, so they did not meet. The Historic Preservation Commission also did not meet this month because of of course, coronavirus and not a lot going on right now because of that, of course. Okay, Daniel, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think y'all all probably received this letter from Daniel. Daniel had called me and he went there to Mr. Bethel, of course, at kind of my request and y'all's request, trying to deal with this tree, and this stock thing just came up. And Daniel, I'll let you speak to it at this point in time. I think all of y'all received the letter that he sent out at this time.
Hey guys, well, I'm here with Mr. Bethel, and as the mayor just said, went out to his house probably 2 weeks ago, and almost exactly 2 weeks, because I was posting the notice and I was making sure that it was I'd forgotten to date it, so I was going back to date where I had posted. I signed my name to it. Anyways, Mr. Bethel was reading it, and so I went up to him and explained to him who I was and what y'all as a board were looking to do, and what y'all's concerns were, the neighbors' concerns were, and why y'all felt like the city needed to get involved at that time, and that, you know, I was representing the city. That's why I was there. And organically, it came up that he's been trying to handle the situation, but he had been trying to find a purchaser for certain shares of stocks that he has with mechanics and had been unable to do so. And so I said, well, you know, I might be interested. And so it just led from there. Is that your understanding?
That's exactly how it was.
Okay. So I had this opportunity to buy Mr. Bethel stocks. He understands I represent y'all. I don't represent him. He has signed a notice of non-client relationship and memorandum of understanding stating that he understands that. However, if y'all don't feel comfortable with it, like I said in my letter to y'all, my loyalty to you guys is unbreakable. So I'll do whatever y'all want to do. I have cleared it with the Ethics Commission with the bar, and we actually have another member of the public walking in. So there's 3 of us here now. How are you? We're well. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, any comments on this?
I don't really have any comments. Like Mr. Martin said, I had been trying to liquidate that stock so that I could do some work to the house and get that tree removed. I've known that tree was an issue for a long time. And nobody coerced me or did anything like that. I offered to sell the stock because I don't know anybody else who wants to buy it, but I needed to sell it, and I absolutely will get that tree taken down and get all the debris removed. And I don't know if there's anything else that you need me to do to comply with you, but
Well, I appreciate your sentiments. What I want to keep clear is that this one doesn't depend on the other. So this is like a separate matter that I want them to address. And then as soon as but thank you for your words. And then once we have concluded on whether they're okay with me doing that, then we'll go into your hearing.
Okay,
But that was relative to what we're discussing, so
Sure.
thank you.
So I can just, if this was someone on the board or the mayor who is in a position to decide who the city cites, I would be worried about it. But our attorney is acting on our decisions, is not in a decision-making capacity. So he can't direct the pressure of the city towards someone to try to elicit a better price.
That's right.
So I don't have any concerns about this.
I told him up front I did not. He'd already cleared it with the Ethics Commission. This was one of these just circumstances that happened. So like you said, Daniel does not make decisions. The board makes decisions. He just advises us on our decision making. So I have no problem with it, but he did want y'all to clear him. So that's what he's asking. If anybody has any objections to it.
I read your letter, Daniel, and I have no objections to it either.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Okay, I have no objections.
Okay,
Nor do I.
okay,
Well, thank y'all.
okay. So I think
It
you
doesn't
can move.
require anything other than me saying that I gave you all the notice and there was no objections raised. So thank y'all very much.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to the next, which is the hearing, and I see Mr. Bethel, and he has already spoken some. And I think he may have already cleared up the hearing issue there, because he's saying that he is fully intends to have that tree removed, and it is a safety hazard. And I think he knows that, and
I do. I understand.
Can I move for a 30-day extension? Is that sufficient time to have that sale go through and have the tree removed?
Daniel, would that be enough time to,
It is on my
I don't
end.
see why it wouldn't be. No.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm
you can-
motion to provide a 30-day extension.
Okay, so Daniel had, excuse me, Kagan is making a motion there to give him Mr. Bethel a 30-day extension on having the tree taken care of. Do we have a second to that motion?
I second that.
Nicole,
Heard you.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. So, Mr. Bethel, we will, if it's not removed, we'll check back with you in 30 days. Okay?
Yes,
And I
sir.
appreciate you coming there and being with Daniel for this hearing. Okay, the next one is the hearing on the Lorraine Turner.
I'm not. All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Sir, were you here for a specific purpose
Yeah,
or?
I spoke in the last one, but then y'all wouldn't adjourn. So that's come today.
Okay.
I just speak to Sunshine for the Grant.
All right. Come sit right here with me. I know that's not, I can move 6 feet, but we can see the screen. There we go.
All right, how you doing, Mayor?
we got over there. I can say half.
James Young.
Okay,
How you doing,
okay.
Mayor?
All right, how are you?
Board Alderman.
All right.
Uh,
I think next on the agenda was the Lorraine Turner hearing cleanup. Daniel, can you update us on that?
I haven't had any interaction or response from the family on that matter.
How,
Hello, Daniel.
Hey,
This is Nicole. That's actually one of our properties, and that property has been cleaned up. The tenant that was at that property moved probably about almost a month ago, and that property has been cleaned up once he moved.
that's the single wide that's across the street from the old daycare.
Bentley Campbell property. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Mr. Nicole's right, the name threw me, but yes, I've been in contact with the Folsons and they've got that squared away.
all that's been taken care of? Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right, thanks, Nicole.
And I do, while we're talking about properties, if I could interject, Daniel,
Yes, ma'am.
Bentley Campbell's property,
Yes, ma'am.
his daughter was never nobody ever got in contact with her, have they?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
You have?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
I've talked to her personally. Of course, it was at least 6 months ago when he was sick, but I
Right.
personally talked to her, and she was very kind and very appreciative of the city's position that it needed the property remedied, but that's about all we had at that time. And that's
Okay, 'cause
following that, they put up no trespassing signs on the property. Of course, that doesn't fix our problem.
Right. Because I was just going to say, right now, that grass is over a foot high.
Are you saying you want to
So-
move to set it for June?
Well, I guess we could.
Well, I don't mean to put words in your mouth. I'll let y'all figure that out.
Well, we would have to have a hearing, wouldn't we? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Set it for June.
Yes, let's go ahead. Because like I said, I mean, nothing has been done to the property. They did put the signs there in the yard, but then now, of course, you know, the grass is growing and it's well over a foot high.
does that have a Thornton Street or Martin Street address?
Right on the corner, right at
Yeah.
the corner.
We basically had to guess because it's been not in use for so long that I had to get the tax assessor to come up with the address, or it was the electric department had to run back into their records and figure it out. But it was a confusing mess.
Okay.
Right, because there's no number or marking or anything there.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner of
We could, yeah, it's on the corner. We can rig the Bentley Camel Estate or whatever. We'll set that for a June hearing then, if we can.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That date is,
June 2nd, something like that.
yes, sir. That's exactly right. June 2nd.
Okay.
We need to vote on that.
Yes.
Okay, a motion to have a hearing on, I'll refer to it as the Benny Camel Estate on the corner of Thornton and Martin Street. So a motion to set that hearing date.
I make that motion.
Okay, Nicole makes the motion. Need a second. Kagan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
While we're in this space, did we get any progress from that property that is right on the edge of town and part of it is in the county? We were going
Yes.
to work with the county.
We did some research and we talked with the county, and the county looked at it also. And unfortunately, it's all our problem.
We do need to go ahead
Yeah,
and probably go ahead and need to set a hearing for that June the 2nd also.
Yes, please. I make that motion.
Okay, and I don't, yeah, it's a
second.
Stephen Street address. Probably Hobson, I think would be the owner.
say that again, please.
Isn't it Hobson?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Teresa Hobson. Yeah.
Teresa Hobson on Stephen Street. So that's, the motion is that we set a hearing June the 2nd for that, and I think Kagan made that motion.
Yes, sir.
And we have a second on that one. Heard the
I'll second.
second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm writing this down, so give me a minute. Okay. While we're on that, we have any others? Right.
Follow up from the burned out house that's, I can't remember the name of the street, behind Mickey Howley's
Yeah,
rental house down under the hill. It's been burned for several years. I got you the address a couple of months ago, Daniel.
That was, I'm not aware of any, but correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Fred said he knew him and he was going to speak with him and he was going to get back with us, or he was going to get some action there. But I think we left it with Mr. Fred. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone.
I think you're right.
Is there something that we can do to go forward with that?
I'll have to go back into the minutes to see when we continued the hearing to, if I'm not mistaken, he asked for 6 months. And so we'll have to see what date that was. And when it comes back around, we'll just, I'll send them a polite letter reminding them that the hearing was continued to that date and get them back in. And if we missed it, we'll do it again. But I don't think it's come up for review yet.
Okay. I was asked to ask about that. And then a follow-up, about the tall grass on Askew Street. You take that real sharp curve on the left, you know, the grass is very high and wasn't cut last year. So residents.
Is that where they're farming, or is it the field?
No, it belongs to an elderly lady that you said you weren't sure if she was still with us.
Me?
Which street was that, Simon? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Askew Street. You go Lafayette Street and then
Right.
Askew Street, and then there's a lot on the left, but right beside a white frame wooden house. And it's just a big lot that's overgrown there. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name on that. I can look it up, but we need to follow up on that because this summer now will be the second summer that people are complaining about the grass being exceptionally high now. So I'll get back with you more on I used to have the address written down, but I wasn't prepared
Sure.
to talk about it right now. But
Okay, thank you.
then I got another complaint yesterday about a house that she does not know the address of, but it's across the street from 411 Wood Street that periodically has to be cleaned up at the request of the city. So I was asked to bring that one up.
Is that the one owned by the Edwardses?
I'm not sure. I would have to drive. I haven't been on Wood Street in a while, and it may be one of the Edwards property.
No, the one up on the right, I think, is one that we've had twice. Vivian has contacted people twice, and every time we've contacted them, they've cleaned it, but
I
they
think
unfortunately,
it's Smith, maybe, is the last name.
I can't remember, but I think Vivian would know.
Okay.
And because she has contacted them, and every time we've contacted them, they've cleaned it, but they just let it get out of hand sometimes before they do.
Yeah, I think it's not occupied right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I don't think anyone lives there full time. I think I know the house you're talking about
yeah,
though.
they said that they think the name might be,
Just put Wood Street, and I'll get with Vivian tomorrow and see if she can contact them, because I'm pretty sure she knows which one we're talking about.
okay. Keisha Smith is the name that they're maybe saying it's attached to. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there was a question today about the building beside Lee Mackman's office, the white building. And they were trying to categorize that as a dilapidated property. And in my opinion, it is not.
No, I don't think so.
The yard is well kept. The doors and windows are intact and locked. The roof is intact. So that is,
No, that's Miss
Dilapidated
Lucia's.
property.
Yes,
That's
She's-
always,
she's always kept that.
right. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that I did have a complaint on that today, and I did not feel like it fell under any of the current ordinance that we have because it is a well-kept property. It is locked from the public and safe.
Yes, you're right. Okay,
So one more, I'm sorry. This was a big hot topic yesterday on Facebook for some reason when I posted the agenda. There's been a complaint several times by Will Burns that there are fuel tanks in some trees in front of a wholesale company on Main Street.
Do what now?
There are fuel tanks that are in tall trees in front of a wholesale company on Main Street. And that's the second time I've gotten a complaint from him specifically about whatever that is.
are those the tanks in front of the CW White?
that would be them.
Okay.
It's for the old station. When the tornado blew the station away, these were the tanks that sit directly behind the old station there.
Who
I,
made that complaint?
I couldn't figure that one out. So
That-
I guess because this is a second complaint, we'll have to find someone who can determine whether or not that's inside or outside of the ordinance that we have in place for a quote unquote dilapidated or unkept property. So I don't know who would make that determination.
We would have to, look at the ordinance exactly the way it reads and
Can our attorney give us an official opinion on that, please?
Yeah,
Punt the football.
I'll jump right on that.
Okay. All right. Any more? Okay. I think James is there with you, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think James had a question whether or not we were going to advertise for grass cutting this year. I'll let anybody on the board address this. Right now, I can say that we don't know exactly how our monies will be coming in. You know, we know that our sales tax lags a couple of months in the rears. So June the 1st, we may see some real figures as to what kind of financial situation we might be in. I believe ours will be pretty good. I may be optimistic there, but while a lot of businesses have been closed, the ones that are open, it seems like they have been doing a lot of business. Dollar General, Larson's like this. So, but we, you know, again, though, I'll listen to the opinion of the board on bidding out any grass cutting.
Well, let me, can I speak?
Sure, Jane.
Okay. Well, last year was a year when I was cutting grass. When they said y'all about to run out of money, well, I did not know y'all about to run out of money, and I could have eliminated my ride mower. You know, that's probably the biggest part of the thing that was taking more money, but I could eliminate that, and that's what I want to do this year. If I could do it, just do the weed eating, and just, you know, and cut out the whole ride mower thing. That'll be a lot less on the money. But, you know, I wish we would know that then, because the grass is seriously need cutting around here. It's bad. The creeks had never been cut since I cut it. So, I mean, I love to cut grass, and my guys, I have been cutting grass for years and years here in Water Valley. And I hate for y'all had to take us off of that, because they love keeping the city clean, and it's not kept clean right now. Not to me. It looks very bad, the grass cutting. They cuts it, but they don't do a good job. I ain't taking nothing away from the city crew, but the contract job was making the city look a whole lot better. And I just wish y'all would reconsider us as getting back in there and keeping that grass cut, because they can't do it all. They got too many things. It's like the cemetery and all that to cut, and they can't keep all that cut. It's just gonna be a lot of grass cut, and the snakes are bad this year, very bad. So we need to keep that grass cut down, keep that creek down for one thing. That's the main thing we're doing, keeping that creek cut down, and it hadn't been cut since we did it. They sprayed there on the top. I thought I'd keep watching. They sprayed on top. They never go down the bottom. And guys on the city said they're not going down there, but we don't want bold enough to go down in there. So I appreciate y'all would consider that and they're looking at that. Oh, this is city. You know, when y'all have the watermelon carnival, we didn't get all the grass cut, and I seen that. It's a lot of grass to be cut, and they can't do it all. They can't do it all. But anyway, we here if y'all, and y'all will have us back. And whenever you can, and as soon as you can, would be fine with me. Okay?
Okay, any comments from the board now?
So the strategy that we put in place last year was targeted around the riding mower. We invested in one,
Right.
an additional one for our city crew. We need to see the numbers where we stayed within budget last summer.
Right.
But we have had a challenge just staffing that department sufficiently through the summer.
We have.
So
And the rain, of course, has got us way behind, as you know, many yards attest to that right now. We actually, one of the mowers got stuck on the baseball field of the day, and you would think it would have been dry by now.
Yeah, it's just filthy wet.
Yes, the water table is very low down there, of course, and I thought it was dry, but it wasn't. But you know, a lot of things, James, I agree with you that y'all did a good job. No one ever denied that y'all did not do a good job.
Yeah.
And if we had an unlimited budget, you know, I would say, hey, let's bid it. And if you get to bid, let's go for it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have an unlimited budget. And so,
I think if we still have to wait to see what kind of money we have.
Yeah.
But I would be open to some sort of hybrid arrangement. I don't think we could ever bid out the whole city because we do have people that are on staff getting benefits that we need to keep busy. But
Right.
there is definitely more than they can handle.
so
And we readdress this one in June when we know a little bit more.
yeah,
Our-
the second day of June, I don't know if we'll have all of our numbers by then, but shortly thereafter we would, and I'd be glad to share that with, of course, everyone at that point in time. 'Cause I know everyone is anxious about that, and like I say, I'm remaining optimistic. I know it won't be our typical, but I hope it doesn't dip quite as much as some other neighboring cities had to face. But we'll look at that. And James, I appreciate you coming and participating. But like I said, we'll look at the numbers, and I'll get back with all the board. And when the numbers come in, and if there's anything that we think we might bid out and use.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know, Andy, are you? Andy, are you online right now?
Who?
Andy Hall.
Andy Hall.
If we're gonna keep this up, I'm gonna have to get better speakers.
Or maybe I won't have a scratchy throat, but I don't have the virus. I just got these allergies. Okay, I don't hear Andy right now, so we'll pass by him and go to Michael Scroggins, and I don't know if Michael's there. But I do know what he wants to eat.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there's Michael. Well, part of you.
Actually, Andy's here too. He was just on mute.
Oh, okay.
Andy.
Can you
you're
hear me
off.
now, Kagan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Well, since Andy was first there, well, Andy, do you want to go ahead and talk now?
Yes, sir. We have a customer in town that is requesting we do a bank draft, as y'all know, on our power bills. This company's requesting that we basically do a direct deposit where they can deposit their power bill into our account. We've never done this before for anybody. It's always been a bank draft. And it's not a decision for me to make. It's one y'all are going to have to make. And it's a big company. And, the biggest thing about it is I don't think we can show partiality to one company. So it will be opening up, I think, probably a can of worms that we don't want to open up. But I mean, y'all have to make this decision.
Here was my concern. I'll voice mine first, and then y'all can make the decision. If we give our banking information out to anyone, our routing, our account numbers, while I trust them, in this day and time with hackers and this company having businesses located elsewhere, so they can make a direct deposit when they want to make it, but they have our banking information. Now, I know drafts work just the reverse. We have the customer's information and we draft their account. But I'm a little bit leery of giving anyone actually our account numbers for the city electric department or any other account number of the city. That's, like I said, while I trust our local people, I do. I don't trust a lot of people that are out there in this land that I don't understand a lot, Kagan. The ITs and the internets and all, because I know there are a lot of people that know how to go in and get that information, and that would concern me. But, you know, this is, kind of y'all's, if y'all have any questions for Andy or want to voice your opinion on this.
I do have a question. What's the problem with the bank draft?
That's kind of what we had posed them.
That I posed that to them, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to do it this other way.
Well, that's our policy currently, isn't it, Andy?
Yes, yes, it is. And that's the option we offer. You can come pay, you can mail your bill in, or you can set up on a bank draft.
No, I don't think I would accept any direct deposits for a bill. I mean, that would be something that, for example, your tax return money would be directly deposited into your bank account. Why would a business such as the city accept a direct deposit for a bill when typically a bank draft is what's used universally?
Right. I agree.
That's how I have to pay all my bills. Nobody lets me direct deposit. I do a lot of bank drafting.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
if we did do something like that, there certainly would be some stipulations, because we couldn't. It could not be at somebody's free will to deposit, because we have due dates to where, the electric department has to pay our power invoice, and when we have people that don't pay their bill, they don't give us a break on that. We have to pay for that electricity. I think that we should stick with our policy, but I mean, I have to bring it to y'all for agreement. I think that's where we should stay instead of changing policy.
So Andy, the direct draw,
You're
sorry, Nicole.
breaking up.
Yep, Nicole, I just put you on mute for just a second. There was a lot of background noise. The power department takes that payment on the same day every month?
On a bank draft.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that is something that a business can count on. Their bill is due on X day. They need to pay it either with a check or it will come automatically. It's a convenience.
If they sign up on bank draft, the money has to be there, and we draft it a specific day each month. They don't come off unless they request to come off the bank draft. They couldn't say, I'm gonna get on bank draft, and every other month walk in and say, here's your check for the power, because we'd have to stop everything at the bank because it automatically does it once they're set up.
I'm assuming, but a commercial, we wouldn't be considering this for a residential client. A commercial client that does business pays their bills when they need to stay in business according to policies that are in place. That's
what's supposed to happen. Yes, sir.
And the way that we bill, we are billing for electricity that was already used. We're not billing ahead of time.
We stay a month in arrears. If our billing is basically a month behind. So
I think we offer more than a sufficient number of options for this customer today under our current policies. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Anyone have a different opinion? I think, I think Cinnamon has voiced it, Kagan has voiced it, and I think y'all heard my opinion on it, so.
I just want to add to it that I agree with Kagan and Cinnamon and you, Mayor. I sure did. We need to stick with our policies that we have in place.
Okay.
You want to unmute Nicole to see if she has any input?
She's unmuted. That was,
Okay.
I just reset her line, so it's
Okay, gotcha.
good to go.
She just still has the unmute icon
Does it?
on my end. Oh, now it's back.
I agree.
All right. I don't even think we need a motion on that. We're just gonna stay with our policy. Everybody agree with that? Daniel, do you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. Okay, Scroggins. Mike wants to advertise for a truck driver, brush truck, or part-time, full-time, seasonal, whatever you want to call Robert, has decided he's going to go home. And we've had Mike and Philip driving brush truck when they don't need to be driving a brush truck. They need to be doing the supervision work and the other work. So, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, was that basically it? You wanted to advertise for that truck driver for the brush?
That's right. I'd like to advertise, see if we can get a driver or operator.
That would have to have a CDL.
You have to have CDL and a little equipment experience.
Okay. Maybe we could get together and draft a job description of that. Basically, have CDL, some equipment, heavy equipment experience. Be
I
able
think
to
we
pass.
already have one from the last time Mike tried to hire. That may still, Mike, do you still have that job description?
I think we still have it on file somewhere. I'll look tomorrow.
Okay.
Did we
So-
accept the resignation of the person that left? Do we need to do that?
He was full-time, but he was seasonal that had been agreed on years ago before all of our time. He'd been a full-time employee of the city, and once he passed that time where he could come back and work, he would come back every year and he would work so many months, and this time he didn't work those number of months. He just wanted to go home. I think he was a little bit nervous about the virus situation. His wife was, so he just told Michael that he was going home. But we can get him to sign off if we need to. Daniel, do you think we would need a signature for him voluntarily leaving?
It wouldn't hurt just like we do for the city police department, a letter of resignation.
I can do that.
I mean, that's not going to hurt anything. I mean, if anything, that'll be beneficial.
Can we tweak the Cinnamon? I think you're referring to the garbage truck driver position that we advertised twice last year.
Yes.
And I mean, we would be having him sign off on the letter of resignation, just to formalize the fact that it's his decision to leave, that we're not firing him. Is that everybody's intent?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so
If
we
we
need a
have,
motion to allow Michael to advertise.
So it might not include the brush truck, Kagan. It may just have been for the trash truck.
if we tweak the driver position job description that we used last year, Mike, what's the rate that we're offering?
I think we had him started out at 10. After 90 days, he goes to 11.
I think our current one was making 12.
Right.
He'd been doing it for years, of course, but. So you saying start at 10?
Trying to think at the moment what is either we had him started out at 10, and if everything goes, then he went up $1, or it may be the 11. I'll have to go back to what we agreed that night on, but it may be the 11, and when he finishes 90 days probation, what he goes to, and everything's okay, he goes to 12.
I would move that we advertise at the 11 base rate for a CDL driver.
Okay, Kagan makes that motion. We have a second.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, so we'll get that tweaked and get that in the paper, David. I think David's here somewhere. Okay, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
I see Michael, but I don't see Jason.
He's here.
Okay.
No, Salmon says you got a halo.
Of course I do.
Yeah, okay.
Hang
Okay, Jason, I want to talk about the Durango, to leave that as an unmarked vehicle. You want to talk to that point?
Yes, sir. I just like to leave it unmarked for investigative purposes instead of having the normal stripes on it like the rest of the patrol cars, which I believe the city traditionally runs 2 or 3 unmarked vehicles. And currently, if we leave the Durango, we'll only have 1 currently unmarked vehicle.
What's your unmarked vehicle?
A new Durango would be the unmarked one. We don't have an unmarked one other than it right now.
Well, we've got the Ghost Stripe one counts as unmarked.
Well, that would be the only other one.
Okay.
Is that legal, Daniel, to?
Yeah, as long as you designated it as a unmarked car, you're fine. But I mean, I was just pointing out that the Ghost Stripe is considered undercover, unmarked, excuse me.
Okay.
Would the Durango be used for any traffic enforcement?
Not on a regular basis. I'm not going to say I won't pull someone over that commits a traffic infraction in front of me, but it won't run regular traffic details.
Okay. Will it have the full lights, interior lights for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like to make sure that someone who's getting pulled over feels like it's an official vehicle when they're pulled over.
Yes. From a pulling over perspective, you won't know it's unmarked if it's behind you, but it'll have the same light package as the rest of the vehicles.
I think there was just a problem. This has nothing to do on what Jason's asking. This is just my backdrop as to the ghost markings, that they had a problem several years ago with police forces wanting to do ghost striping on their whole fleet, which kind of is a disservice to the public because it's good for community perception to see the police cars running around.
Okay. So are there any objections then to him leaving this one unmarked? And
No objection on my part.
No objections.
I think I'll need a motion, actually.
I was going to ask for a motion to allow Jason to leave the new Durango as an unmarked vehicle.
I'll make that motion.
I'll say Herbie made it. And
Herbie
Colin
told
seconded.
me the motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe
The
that.
old Durango still in use, or has it been taken out?
Yes, it has been marked and now it's still in use. It's now a marked unit, so this one just replaces that as the unmarked one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I believe had something else, but this on the walking track, but I think we're going to get into some further detail and discussion on that later.
Mr. Mayor, along the signs of leaving the Durango unmarked, I'm also requesting to run a regular style tax. It'll be a tax exempt plate, but it'll look like a everyday license plate instead of the traditional government license plate, and it's for the same purpose.
Okay. Daniel, with that,
Motion for that, Daniel?
No, as long as y'all, I think that's going to fall under the unmarked police car motion. I think it's all covered under that. I think you're good there, Jason.
Okay, just double check.
All right.
okay, well, and like I said, we'll get into the walking track because we're going to discuss parks and everything else.
Yes, when I sent that in,
I'll hit this on, I'll look at it real quick tomorrow, Chief, and I'll get back with you if I see any red flags. But I think you're going to be okay.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Jason, other than those? I don't think you did. Okay, I ain't got a light on, so I have to hold it up to the computer just a minute. Okay, David, the quotes on the repairs to some pumps. David, are you there with Daniel?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to kind of tell the board where these are located and what's going on with them?
All right, it's a office service pumps. One of them was burnt up and one of them has a broke shaft.
Yeah.
And the repairs, quotes, one was 14,200 and the other one was, well, it was less than 12,900. And that's one I'd like to go with, is the lower one, and try them, see how they do for us. They said they've done work for us before, seems to be a real good fella. I'd like to give him a shot and see what he can do for us. It's got a 1-year warranty, and I think he'll do a better job.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, one of these was at Stephen Street tank? Is that
No,
right?
both of them are at my office.
Both of them at the main one, okay, I know we had talked about Stephen Street on something else, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have the two bids, they were both emailed bids. One was from Ratliff for 14,200, and the other one was from Donald Smith Incorporated from Shannon, and that was 12,920. Okay, any questions for David while we have him there on this?
A motion to
That
approve.
quote from Donald Smith is actually 10,500.
He came down?
No, I just added all three of those options. And
10,500, okay.
if we go with just option 2, it'll be 10,500.
Okay. So it's 10,500 from Donald Smith and the Ratliff was 14, okay. Okay, so Kagan, was you making a motion to?
Motion to accept the lower bid.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the bid from Donald Smith for the pump repairs down at the headquarters. I have a second.
Second, yeah.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Right.
The other thing David has is kind of like Michael, a job description for a water sewer employee. And he has come up with some qualifications. And I think these was all emailed out. I hope you all have a copy of that. Basically 18 and over, must have a high school diploma or a GED, must have dependable transportation, valid driver's license, must be able to drive a standard transmission vehicle, live within 20 miles of the city, must have the ability to understand and follow oral and written instructions. And of course, down below, we had added on, must be able to pass a drug test. And Daniel, I was going to ask you if we could legally do that.
Being able to pass a drug test, that's all right. Put on.
Yeah, that's within our employer policy. Is Miss Vivian online with us?
She's there, but I don't think that's in the employer handbook, but
We have a separate policy for that.
We don't?
I think we have a separate policy for that, for the drug.
okay.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
I can't see how it could possibly be a conflict to know whether they're drug free or not.
And I asked David to put that on there because, first of all, I thought it would, people that knew they could not pass one wouldn't be applying and kind of wasting David's time and our time and efforts in getting someone trained and then something come up. So I asked him.
Yeah, I'll look at that to double check tomorrow, but my common sense says I can't see how that could possibly be a problem.
And then, of course, he lists some essential duties, performing general maintenance, work in the water distribution and wastewater collection systems, must be able to get along with the other employees and the public, be able to run heavy machinery, and plumbing experience is a plus. And the reason we put kind of the high school diploma and GED, eventually somebody else is going to need to pass this water treatment test. So David can have somebody right there when he's gone and things like this that can do these functions other than himself.
If an employee shows up for work, Miss Vivian, you listening?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. If an employee shows up for work acting erratic and y'all ask them to go down and get tested for drugs and they come back positive, I mean, that's a terminable offense under our current policies, isn't it?
It would be, yes.
Yeah, so yeah.
And I can only remember 2 cases recently. We had 2 individuals that we asked if they would go and be drug tested. This was a couple of years ago now. One of them agreed and the other one quit. So sometimes it just lets you know what's going on. So, okay, so I would entertain a motion for David to be able to advertise for a water and sewer employee. Taking the motion, second. 7 seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, that is unanimous, okay. Okay, the water and sewer tap fees and reconnection fees. I think you all have these that were sent to you also. Oh, excuse me, I got to have a little light. Does that blind everybody or?
Nope, that's good.
Fine.
Yeah, I can actually see. Okay, David did work up some proposals for raising the water and sewage tap fees. David, okay, these are our current fees now that you listed for tap fees 2020.
Right, that's our current tap fees.
Okay, y'all can see like from a 3/4 inch all the way up to a 2 inch on the water, and then the sewer is, was that a flat rate on sewer, whether it was 4 or 6?
Yes,
Okay, and you see his proposals and on the 3/4 inch, currently 428, and he's proposing 1113.53. Okay, any discussions on this?
I looked over the numbers and they felt high to me. And so I called Oxford and Batesville to get comparable prices. And that what came out of that is we are low right now, but the proposed numbers would put us extremely high compared to our neighboring communities. So if folks don't mind, I can, let me see if I can do this quickly. So can folks see my
Turn it
screen?
on his screen.
Okay. So everybody who's logged into video, the Oxford rates are at the top, the Batesville rates are in the middle, and the Water Valley proposed rates are at the bottom. That would essentially mean for someone who is building something new in town, for water and sewer, it would be almost $2,000 added to their construction cost. So I'm going to close this down. I would definitely be open to raising our rates to be comparable to our neighboring communities. But I think the proposed rates are too high.
Okay.
That is my
Now the sewer tap fee, I would like it to be 800 because, I know Grenada charges 800 and then if they have to do anything extra, they charge extra for it. And I think Batesville's 6-inch tap was $750.
And their 4-inch tap is 600. Oxford,
600, yeah.
for some reason, Oxford has a flat rate of 400 no matter what size you want.
They
And I
may
think,
be raising theirs.
I think Oxford may be subsidizing their rates because it's new customers and you know, a new water and sewer bill gets paid forever, hopefully.
I think they
So
have
that-
a higher rate of construction at this time too,
Yeah,
and over time they have.
They don't build one new house, they build 100. And
Right.
okay, let's look at some in between numbers, shall we say. Oxford on their water tap, their smallest being 300 and Batesville being 750. What would y'all be comfortable with? And raising it at this time?
I think as long as we're being honest with ourselves, we do lose money on the front end when we install these services. But the hope is that they will continue to pay that's new revenue for the city moving forward.
Right. What David, and I asked him to get some numbers together because we had talked and he said sometimes, you know, on a easy one, I'll say, he and his 2 guys making do it 2 hours. And then they find another sewer that's about 8 foot deep and it takes a day and a half. So that's why he was saying, you know, a day and a half, you know, I'm using 12 hours, three men working 12 hours. So, you know, we're charging $250. So that didn't compute. But again, I know what you're saying, Kagan. We're hoping to get these customers forever. But I do think we probably need to bump that somewhere. We need to have that happy medium in there. Is not quote to gouge anyone or to take advantage, because we certainly want all the new construction we can get and all the new people we can get. But
David, what are the rates in Grenada?
They was pretty close to ours, except their sewer was $800 for sewer tap. And as far as the water goes, it was pretty close, but if they had to do anything extra, they would charge for that too, which we do that as well. It's just, most of the time, we're just losing out on our taps. I mean, especially if there's a place where there's not existing water and sewer, we end up losing out pretty good.
What's the lowest proposed number that you would come to? What would be the lowest proposed number that you would come to? To be able to cover?
I would at least go with what Batesville has right there.
Okay. Is that enough? I mean, to cover the services that you're providing to new customers?
It won't cover it. I mean, if you look at those tab descriptions I gave you with the parts and the labor and the use of the vehicles and equipment and stuff, that's what I came to if we was to charge by that. I mean, I know that's expensive, so and I understand with new customers and all that too. If you wanted to come down on them, that's up to y'all.
Well, what if we came up to the Batesville prices and then revisit it, and you can let us know if we're losing money after we raise it? Does that make sense? Like incremental, like we've done with some of the other rates that we've looked at in the last couple of years.
Yes, that would be a lot. Anything will help.
I think it's a good suggestion. I mean, we have to continue to look at all of our numbers each year at least, and you know, we've been doing that with sanitation. We've done it with water. We do it with other things. So just, but I would entertain any motion or any other discussion or on this.
Well, I would make a motion to look at the the Batesville prices and make a comparable, you know,
Okay.
amount for each of the things that on each line.
Okay, so we have a motion from Cinnamon to basically use the same rates that Batesville's using at this time. Do we have a second to that motion?
I second.
Okay, I close seconds. Any other discussion on that?
Just a question, is this an ordinance type thing? Do we have to
That's my
publish it?
next question to Daniel. It's going to be, after we vote on it, I think it would have been amended ordinance. Was it not, Daniel?
It's going to be very similar to the cemetery fees that we changed before. I mean, we're going to have to, now that I know y'all want to do it, I'll have to draft y'all an ordinance, present it, and move forward from there.
So it would. So
I also, the numbers that I have, and I can send these out, I sent them to the mayor, and to David. I didn't get Batesville's full numbers for 1.5 and 2 inch lines. I don't know what those are. But I'm comfortable with the rates that they started for both water and sewer.
So, the motion is to accept these. We had the second, but I think really the motion is for Daniel to draft an ordinance to this effect. Would that be right, Daniel?
Yes.
Do we have an ordinance right now with our current rates in it? So do we have to draw up a new ordinance or just amend the current one?
Oh, no, we'll just be amending the current ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still essentially the same thing.
Same process.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion second, all in favor of that, and
Aye.
Aye.
that is unanimous. And said, when Daniel brings the ordinance to us, of course, then we'll have to come back and adopt the ordinance and run it in the paper, do that.
So probably about 90 days is
Right.
when the rate increase would actually take effect.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Is that, oh. Also, along with that was the water and sewer, we did the tap fees, but the reconnect fees.
I thought those fees were perfectly fair to have to send city workers back out to turn things on. The reasons why they would be disconnected were because of non-payment, and that's also an expense to the city.
Fortunately, we do have a good bit of that.
Is that part of, Daniel, is that an ordinance, the fee structure as well around cutoffs?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so I would, if we need a separate motion, or we can amend the last motion.
No, y'all just,
Amend the
basically, I
last-
know that y'all want me to change it up, so it's fine. Y'all are just basically giving me marching orders to get it put together for you, so I'll do it.
Okay. All right.
And that, I mean, the reason behind that being, we're giving the public notice of it, that that's our intent, and then we're giving them an opportunity to look at it and read it, and then we're giving them an opportunity to voice any objections before it becomes finalized. So that, you know, that's the due process notice to our constituents.
Okay. All right. So we'll deal with that when you get the ordinance drafted and all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last item is mask and face coverings, but in with that, let's go back and address walking tracks, parks, things of this nature. When and if we open what? And probably some of y'all have gotten calls. I've gotten quite a few calls about the walking track. You know, can't we at least walk? Can't we? You know, weather's getting pretty. Everybody wants to walk. I don't have an objection to opening the walking track. I do not. If we need to put barriers where they can't come into the field area or whatever, we could possibly do that. The governor's new orders was, of course, Thursday. Restaurants could be open at 50% capacity with other requirements. Of course, employees would have to wear a mask. All employees would have to have their temperature taken daily. The seating inside has to be within 6 foot apart. And then the outside gatherings was now up to 20 people, as long as they maintain the social distancing. I don't think that is a problem with the walking track, but that is my opinion. I would, first of all, I'd like to talk about just the walking track part, and if we want to include anything else with other parks. Unfortunately, with the playgrounds, that's kind of a iffy. I just don't think we can do that. And I would love for the kids to be able to use playground sentiment that y'all work hard on and others work so hard on. But that's a confined area.
I have an answer for that. I did speak to the governor's office today, if I can interject.
Okay.
So in his order, municipal parks and private parks may open to the public between the hours of 9 a.m. through 7 p.m. for recreational outdoor activities as determined by local authority. So they said that we do have the authority over the municipal parks. However, playgrounds is not part of parks reopening. That part of his order expires on May 11th unless Governor Reeves does plan to extend that order at that time. So we do have the discretion as a municipality to open our parks, our walk tracks, but not playgrounds.
On the 11th, on the playground part though.
That's right. On the 7th would be municipal parks. On the 11th, the order would expire and reopen playgrounds unless Governor Reeves on the 11th does extend that order.
So how about the walking tracks? Let's just deal with the walking tracks. I don't know if you want to include opening, quote, the parks, but it would be very hard now on the city park. It would not be hard to keep the playground area closed, of course. On Baker Street, you got your equipment spread out all over.
We're not allowed to open playground. Yeah. Municipalities can't open playgrounds right now.
Yeah. So that could not be done.
Yeah.
So the 11th, unless he extends that even further, which
yes,
we don't know. Those numbers are, number driven right now.
And the way that this is spread, we still don't have very clear, it's astonishing that we still don't have really clear directives of how that is. But playground equipment, which is touched, I just don't think that's a good idea.
Well, like someone said, his order today was we couldn't open the playground today.
Cannot, yeah. We don't have the authority to open a playground.
No,
I'll just say I will, until we have more clarity, which you would hope any day now we would, I would not be comfortable, even if on the 11th, the governor says, okay, we tried a play date with our children, masked and it was more stress trying to keep the children. It's just not natural to play and keep separate.
That's right.
It's just so much oversight, let alone with the adult population that we're about to talk about.
But the governor, excuse me. So the governor made it pretty plain that we could make things harsher than his orders. We just couldn't make anything any easier than his orders. And so, again, with a playground, that's out at least to the 11th and possibly past then. But he did say parks could be open. But that's up to each municipality. So that is up to you guys on that decision as far as what we're going to do on that.
I'm happy to share that my main concern around closing the sports complex was around minimizing the amount of work that our emergency personnel have to worry about and respond to and in. And I still am of a mind that the mortality rates have not improved, the contagion rates have not improved since our last meeting. We still need all of our department heads to have as their top priority, what do they do when the majority of their staff is not able to come to work? That still may be in our future. So shrinking the amount of the city that they need to patrol and respond to is a large concern. And we're in a rural area. We have sidewalks, we have lovely agricultural land all around us. There are state parks. I don't feel a need to open up the city parks or the walking track at this time.
Anybody else?
As a healthcare professional, I must agree with Kagan. Even though I do understand that people aren't going to be walking on top of each other on the walk track, how do you police that? We don't have enough
It'd be very hard.
to monitor those areas. Nicole?
I totally agree with both yourself and Kagan. I think people are going to be, if we do open that walk track, people are going to be so excited to be out and be on the track. I think some people are going to take their children as well, and I think that is going to cause a problem also. So would say do not open the walking track. I mean, if people want to walk, like for myself, me and my kids, we go out and walk here, you know, around the block and so forth, and then we come right on back. You know, people have other places that they can walk. I mean, I know it would be great to be on the walking track, but at this time, I just disagree with that.
And the original walking track that we have here in our community that goes around the hospital is still open.
That
So
was
if
going to be
we're
my
looking
question.
for a paved walk track in a safe place, that hospital walk track is available to the public.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on it too. You know, I love the walking track that we have. I walk on it a lot. But at this time with the virus that we have, I agree with Cinnamon and Kagan and Nicole that we need to keep everything closed.
This is the thing of everything that's happened. This is the thing. It's amazing how there's always one thing that the community is focused on the most in terms of reaching out to me. For whatever reason, this is a thing that folks can have an opinion about, but I don't think being overly cautious right now is a risk. I think the opposite would be the risk.
I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, one observation I've got from a patrol standpoint, the people that used to walk on the track are now walking on Main Street. All we're really doing is forcing a larger, closer population on the sidewalks of Main Street. I do understand the argument they have other places to walk, but I'm telling you, they're not going to those other places. So they might want to just put that in the back of your mind that the ones that were at the park are now seen up and down Main Street on the sidewalk. So
I'm chuckling because my wife and children have done the same thing. Like, it's just too pretty. We have to go walk.
we're forcing people on top of each other instead of giving them the space to spread out.
Okay.
So I'm one of those folks that walk around town quite a bit. The town is a lot larger than the walking track. There's a
I
lot
completely agree.
more footage for folks to spread out in town than that.
There's a difference in what's available and what they do. So, I mean, that's why I'm throwing that argument out.
Well, you know, of course, like I said, my opinion was, but, and I get to express my opinion, but you guys had to make the decision. So I would love to have seen it open back up. I understand your sentiment, so I do understand that. And I respect your opinions, I do. And like I said, y'all are the ones that will make the call. And if y'all say leave it closed, we'll leave it closed. And
That is my opinion right now.
So since we've closed it, I don't think it takes any action. It would just take action to open it. So it will remain closed without any action then. Okay. This is the elephant in the room. And the mask and face coverings. I have, and I'm sure as y'all have, I have received calls on both sides of this issue. I have visited with a lot of the businesses in town, asking their opinions. Most of them do not want a mandatory mask thing. And different ones gave me different reasons as using their business, for example. And I told them all I wouldn't use any names, and so I won't call any of them's name. But they, for different reasons and different opinions, and they did understand that they are taking a risk when they allow people to come in without a mask. And but again, there's the other side and of this, that we know that it is very contagious. We don't know if mask totally stops it. It's one of the things that might stop it. But I'll open this up to y'all and let you express your opinions. Again, I like to listen to the business owners because they're the one that ultimately this could affect, I suppose. And then if we require it, how you police it is another thing also. And that's, you know, do you, quote, find someone for not having a mask on? You got a lot of things to deal with on this. But I'll open it up to the board to discuss that. Anybody?
I have opinions. I'll break the ice. I wish that everyone would put a mask on. And if there's a business where folks are wandering around without masks right now, I can't think of a good reason not to wear one. Again, why would you not, if it could help at this time?
Well, like I say, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Being overly cautious is not a bad thing right now. The opposite is a terrible idea. So I wish everyone would wear a mask. At the same time, this is America. And we pride ourselves on allowing people to make foolish decisions for themselves or not believe science or whatever else they'd like to do. And I don't think that what would we do if half the community gets very angry and refuses to wear masks, which right now half the community is choosing not to wear masks. And hopefully they're feeling some sort of social pressure to wear masks, and that's not making them do it. If we made it a rule, what would we do when they said no?
That's the other thing, you know. We're seeing that in other communities, of course. Like you said, people said, hey, this is America. You know, we've got rights. And I know we have to have laws, rules to operate. We do. I just don't want to overstep sometimes. So I'm like you, Kay, going to say both sides of this. I do. I have two people living in my household that have a lot of these pre-existing conditions. So, you know, when one won't go out at all, and when the other, she puts her mask on. No one had to tell her, you know, she just has some of these conditions. We would hope that everyone is responsible, and it goes back to, am I my brother's keeper? But am I guilty of running in stores without mine? I am. You know, say, hey, I'm just going to run in here and grab a can of paint. You know, that's all I was doing. So the freedoms versus health versus just sometimes people's hard headedness, because sometimes if you tell people they have to do something, that's when you get the most resistance. But, and I don't know how Jason would manage that from a police standpoint, limited officers that we have, and if you made it a regulation, yeah, you do have to have some type of enforcement. So, but anyway, that's my opinion, and Kagan has expressed his. So, anyone else there?
I'd like to see.
Yes, well,
Go ahead, Nicole.
go ahead, Tim. Okay, I was going to say, just like Kagan, I am for wearing the mask personally. I know some people who don't wear the mask, don't want to wear the mask, and that's totally their choice. I know that we can't just say mandate and say, yes, you have to do this, because policing it and, is a whole nother issue. But personally for myself, if somebody is not wearing a mask, I'm not going in their business. So that's just me. I think
Nicole dropped out.
Oh, did you hit mute?
Don't show it.
Hello?
Yep, we hear you again.
Nicole,
She's dropping in and out.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Hello?
hear you.
you're hitting the mute button somehow.
You're good now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You're dropping out a little bit.
Okay, I
Can't hear
think.
you, Nicole.
Well, I think we heard the gist of her statement is basically agreeing with Kagan now. Herbie, I think you said you had some.
Well, yes, I do. As you know, I and Judy were survivors of this coronavirus, so we know both sides of this, and we know the importance of wearing the mask. But I look at the people that we have in our great city, and I put a lot of faith in those people to make their decisions the right way. And I feel like that we don't need to mandate something that they need to do, because knowing the people of Water Valley the way that we do, they will take that as a rejecting point, where I would rather try to enforce the mask in our own personal ways. So I'm against mandating the mask order. That's my.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Senator.
So I wear a lot of hats, and one of my hats is healthcare provider and family nurse practitioner. And of course, I've been trained to protect myself and others. And of course, so that my personal philosophy would be to please wear a mask. The mask can't hurt you. It can help you. It can help protect you, and it can help protect the others that you come in contact with. There are right and wrong ways to wear a mask, and sometimes if you wear a mask incorrectly, it's not helping. If you wear it above your head or below your nose or under your chin, or it's not, fitted well, it's just as well you're not wearing one. So a lot of it is in education. If you are going to wear a mask and you don't know about how it should properly fit, please contact me. I had about 6 hours of conversations with people about masks and mask wearing and mask use. And one of those conversations, if you don't mind, Chief Mangrum, was with the chief for about 45 minutes. And so we ran a couple of scenarios. And one of the scenarios was if we mandate a face covering, how do we actually enforce that? Do we have the capacity to do that? How much overtime are we willing to pay? What fine are we going to put on the violation of not having a face covering? And will it stand up in court when it gets to the court and it's time to pay your ticket for not wearing a face covering? And he did a great job of comparing mandating a face covering to speeding. And if you want to, Jason, if you want to relate that to us, it was a great correlation.
And I see the same as speeding. There's very few reasons you don't speed on the highway. One is for your own safety, safety of the other people, and then you're scared of the ticket. It's the same as wearing a mask. You either want to protect yourself, protect everyone else, or you just aren't going to wear it no matter what we do. So it's an unenforceable rule, from my opinion, unless you want to pour out a ton of money in overtime and make it up in fines due to the sheer number of people in town and the just base number of our officers plus our other calls.
And like you said, it's just the luck of the draw where the officer is at the time, whether you're in violation of speeding. Did I see you speeding or did I not see you speeding on one end of town? And then one person gets a ticket and the other person doesn't get a ticket. But with all that being said, I think Governor Reeves said it best today. If I may quote him, please. In his press conference, he says, if we do not want to return to where we were several weeks ago with more businesses closed, with more shelter in place, I have to ultimately make that decision. But the people of Mississippi can make that decision first before I have to. If the people of our state will be smart, if they will stay safe, if they will wear their mask in public, if they're going to go places, don't take the whole family, stay at home when you can, and protect the elderly and those who are in most danger from this virus, we can continue to move forward. He says this is a decision that I can encourage, but you as Mississippians can make. And I thought that it was a great point that he made for people in Water Valley can follow the same vein of thinking. People who are going to wear a mask are already wearing them. If you do not have a mask and you want a mask, contact me. I will get you a mask for no charge, for free. I will get it to you, or you can come get it from me. So with that being said, I would love to see everybody wear a mask. I would love to tell everyone to wear a mask because I have personally seen what it can do and the devastation it can cause. On the other hand, we do not have the city resources to enforce such an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, we have a citizen has raised their hand and asked to be allowed to speak.
Is that me, Kagan?
Yeah.
Donna, would you like to call on?
Yeah, Joe Clark, yeah, go ahead. I had to wait to see who you popped up. Yeah, yeah, let Joe speak.
Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Mr. Mayor, but
Yeah,
am I recognized?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you all so much for recognizing me, and thank you for everything that you're doing. I obviously am a very big proponent of wearing masks in public places, but I also understand all of the concerns that you all have about how to enforce it. One thing that I would ask is perhaps it would make sense to have a measured response to this in which areas like grocery stores, gas stations, places, pharmacies, places that provide essential needs where people absolutely must go in order to get the things that they need to survive. I would ask that you really look into requiring masks in those areas. And what I would say is perhaps you could put the onus on the store owners, which is, I think, the way that it's done in Oxford. They have people standing outside with, they count the people that go in, they wear their masks, and those store owners would have to make sure that people have masks when they go in. And if they don't, then the store owners would be the ones that you would enforce any sort of fines and things like that. Because, when you go into the grocery store, we all have to go there. And when we go in there and half the people don't wear masks, or the cashiers aren't wearing masks, or the guys that are putting out the meat aren't wearing masks, I don't think that that's a good situation for our community, especially considering Friday, the state had its largest number of cases reported, and today we had our largest number of deaths reported in the state. I don't think this thing is slowing down, and I would love to see y'all take some action to protect our most vulnerable citizens in the areas where they absolutely must go to get the things that they need to survive. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you for recognizing me.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Okay, see, am I back?
So another thing that Chief Mangrum did tell me during our discussions is that businesses do have the right to put up a sign on their door to say that you must wear a mask. A mask is required to come in to shop in my store. And if people who are customers do not comply, he did say at that point they would be considered trespassing. And then,
Excuse me, Senator.
so there's the opposite as well. If you come into my store with a mask on, and my policy here is you can't wear a mask to enter, let's say for a bank, or the Quality Inn got robbed with the face coverings in Oxford. He said that at that point, then you're still trespassing. So, we can leave it in the hands of the business owners. And like, I don't know how many business owners you did talk to, Mr. Mayor.
Most of them, and I shared the exact thing with them. This is your business. I don't know how the board will see this, but whether or not we say they have to wear a mask, it's your business. You can decide if you want someone to come in without a mask or not. If you tell them they have to have it, that's your business. You have that right. And I shared that with each one of them that I visited with. And I think they all understood that. I think I'm seeing everyone basically having the same opinion, that we wish everyone would wear a mask, but with our limited resources of enforcement, our also not wanting to really tread on the civil rights, if you will, or the rights of the individuals to make decisions, that we will not require it. But if David is still online, I don't know if he's around, I certainly wish that he would put in that we strongly suggest that people do this. And as I've said earlier, you are your brother's keeper. And I don't think anyone would certainly want to spread this virus knowingly. But as Herbie can attest, sometimes you don't know who you're around and who has what. But
Would it be feasible if we put an ad in the paper from the city of Water Valley that we do recommend wearing a mask if you're out and about? I mean, it can't hurt, but would it be feasible?
yeah, we could do that.
Just as a public announcement or an encouragement, especially since the governor did have that same sentiment today.
He did in his press conference today.
I think pleading to our citizens of Water Valley would be a whole lot more efficient than trying to mandate something. I think they would abide by it a whole lot better.
And I will say this, our business owners are also cordial. They said, whatever y'all decide, we will abide by it. But they did express, we wish you wouldn't say that they have to. They all would cooperate.
And I've run into this, the two critical businesses, I think we're talking about Dollar General and Larson's. Those are food, like that's where everyone in town has to go at some point, unless they have an amazing stockpile.
Or the gas stations.
Or, well, unless you're, yes, for food. But not many people are driving right
So
now.
Sprint Mart is a big hot spot for food and for gas and for groceries as well. That's where we get our milk. So
As well as
I definitely feel for folks that don't have another option of where to get their needed sustenance, and the employees of those businesses are unmasked and they're handling food. While I don't think that we could police a population, I would, if we have the authority, I would be much more open to requiring the businesses to have any of their staff that are touching merchandise that is of a critical need to our population, that they must be masked.
Daniel, I'll ask for a legal opinion here. If you pick on one particular business or, you know,
Well, I'm here, and the authority of the city through the emergency state of declaration gives extreme authority to the board to implement practices and procedures which they feel will protect the community from this pandemic. So, and as for the fines, I've heard rumors that other communities have fines of $1,000. I question the validity of that. However, as I did a brief research 2 months ago when we first declared the state of emergency, and there's clear authority that we have the ability to fine up to, what did I say, 500 if my recollection serves, when I was discussing that with the mayor. So yes, the city has the authority. The city has authority to determine the best needs of, and I'll say this, we've got an awesome police chief. He is very community minded and oriented. And to that, what I mean is I know that he's the type of gentleman that is going to go around and do this community policing where he's telling people in a polite way, you know, you're supposed to be doing this. I don't want to have to come back and fine you if I have to come back tomorrow. And if he comes back tomorrow, well, they made that conscious choice after being given notice, you know. And so I don't believe him or any of his officers would be of the effect of just running around willy-nilly trying to run up the coffers of the city of Water Valley. As for the legality of enforcing it on some businesses and not others, I think that you can show that there's a increased risk. I agree that I don't like the idea that it's one against the other. I personally, we haven't been wearing them at my office. Some of my clients do. Some of my clients come in with masks and gloves. However, and sometimes John will come in with masks and gloves. However, he is routinely awful about, and I've told him this in person, so if he hears about it again, I'll get a chuckle out of it. But he will wear his mask, and then he will be steadily touching his face with his hands, which completely defeats the purpose of the mask. So Cinnamon had a great point earlier that, you know, we can implement it, but then you'll have a large part of the population which are just simply wearing it wrong. And then when it comes down to the physical labor, right, when it comes down to physical labor, I can't imagine having to stock shelves for 8 hours a day with a mask on my face. I worked at a grocery store, worked at a gas station, going through college, put myself through, and I cannot imagine having to work 8 hours with a mask. It sounds miserable.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience over years of time that it is miserable, but necessary in certain circumstances.
But to answer the question, it's legal. So
let me make a suggestion here. What if I go to the two businesses, certainly that was named, and asked if they would require their employees to wear masks, especially the food industry, or the three, I think we're up to three that was named. Because again, the ones I've spoken with, they're all willing to do what they need to do. I think our grocery stores, Dollar General, Sprint Market, I think they would all agree to have their employees wear masks.
I think the public awareness announcement was a good idea. I think Joe York had some excellent points about the dichotomy with the need to open up commerce again, but the aspect that this disease or pandemic, or whatever you want to refer to, is picking up actually, not slowing down. I don't know whether I would argue that it hasn't even plateaued yet, but so I think that the public awareness, Herbie had an excellent point about trying to force his constituents to do it. They're going to feel like we're all Southern men and Southern proud, and I don't like somebody telling me what to do at my office and my work, and so, but asking me to do it politely and nicely, and well, I'll think about it. And so the public announcement, going around and personally asking us to do it.
I agree with the citizenship, the greater population. As Joe was speaking, I was thinking about Saturday. I was in Dollar General, and half of the folks in there had masks, half of them didn't. I could easily avoid the folks that weren't wearing masks, but the one person that touched everybody's things was checking us all out, and the person was not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I was there too.
I'm willing to make a motion that we mandate that folks that are selling food or medical supplies, that they require, because this is not policing individuals, this is policing a business owner, and they're responsible for their staff, that we require those businesses to have a mask policy for their employees. I understand, I've worked many full days wearing masks and respirators. I still, again, will say it is not a higher price to pay than the population being at the risk that it's at right now.
If we were to do that, once again, my offer stands. If anyone needs a mask for free, please contact me. I can get you one. And I'd actually decided that I was personally going to do that with all the restaurants before Thursday. So tomorrow I was going to call. I've got a list. I think it's like 13 places. That new order does mandate in the governor's order that if you are serving food inside your restaurant, that all the employees of that restaurant have to be wearing a face covering. So I can help provide those face coverings for all of the mandated restaurants to start, and then move out into the rest of the community and any other business. So that is, if you're handling food in a restaurant setting.
Yeah, that was part of the governor's orders. Again, we can't make his orders any lesser. We can only make them partial.
Right. So I was thinking that, like Kagan said, we could build on that. So automatically on Thursday, all the businesses that will be selling food, handling food that's a restaurant style food, establishment, they will already be mandated. And that's something that the chief would police, because that is under the governor's order.
So that I am, even as a libertarian, I am comfortable right now saying that if you can avoid a fellow citizen who chooses not to wear a mask, but we are forcing our population to interact with folks that they have to feed their families in an unsafe manner. So I'll turn it into an official motion if that makes it faster and easier.
How you word that, because
so I would move that the city of Water Valley require businesses that sell food or medical supplies enforce a mask policy for their employees.
All right, well, all right, to be specific, all right, we've got turnages, for example, and I'm not, they're doing curbside pickup. And so their employees are not necessarily coming into contact with the public. They're inside. So, I mean, would their whole establishment be under this proposed motion, or whether it would just be the people interacting with the public?
It's a good question.
Because they're wearing masks amongst themselves, because they come from different places when they come to work. So they've self-imposed a mask policy within the pharmacy there, and keeping their mouths and faces covered, and only doing curbside delivery, and they come out with a face covering.
3 of them definitely do not. That waited on me.
Well, to hear it from a main employee, that's what they had decided to do.
And
So,
the names, but I do know that the 3
And-
of them do
right.
not.
So with that in mind, we all see something different. How do you police this? That's the bottom line that I keep coming back to, despite my personal and professional beliefs that masks work. Masks can help you, they can't hurt you. But then again, who do you pick to ticket? Do you ticket to one of the employees that comes outside and without a mask?
I think in this case, the responsibility will be with the business owner. And they
Okay,
will provide
so
a service to the community.
I'll be
And
frank, I don't like it.
We only have one problem with Dollar General. Ownership is a corporation in Nashville.
Yeah.
And who I've had correspondence. Chief and I visited with them about a situation, and they handled the situation and did what they said they would do. But you would that mandate to them always has to come down from Nashville. They can't make any local decisions. We found that out in a hurry. So that mandate would have to go to Nashville first.
That is happening in many places in America right now. And I'm very confident that local managers are empowered to not get the corporation in trouble by having their staff wear masks.
Well,
We tried to get them to do something, and I mean, they didn't want to cooperate. We, as the city of Water Valley, tried to, and we thought we were going to have an emergency meeting at one point.
fortunately, we were able to talk with someone that actually has some Water Valley ties that's in the corporate headquarters. So, and he got the situation handled. But because their local manager point blank told us that they could not make any decision. And of course, we, mainly the chief, being there with me, said that we, as a city, can make this decision for you. So therefore, we were able to contact some people up the chain, and they got it taken care of. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that there's a pecking order that they do not give their local people here really any authority.
We are in a very special circumstance as a country. I'm pretty sure we can solve that problem.
Just saying that we definitely will have to contact them to contact local to make them do it. Yep. So, I mean, it's saying we do it, does it go in effect at 8 o'clock in the morning?
I think we need to give some folks times to procure masks. But the idea of folks in our town feeling like they cannot go to buy food for their family because the retailers are unsafe places. I still believe we can't tell a citizen of Water Valley to put a mask on. I don't think that's feasible. But I think we can get the checkout folks and the folks that are touching everybody's food and medicine to wear protective gear.
Okay, so Kagan has that motion, food handlers and medical supplies.
I love the idea, but I'm also trying to balance out the procedural side. Do you know how the burn ban worked out? Remember a couple of weeks ago when they had the burn ban, and then they lifted the state burn ban when we still needed to be under a burn ban, and then the South Mississippi caught on fire? The burn ban, they lifted the burn ban simply because they had so many people tattling on each other that it clogged up all of the emergency service dispatch, all the phone lines. Herbie, you probably know more about that, the way that works. But that's why they had to lift the burn ban, because so many different people were tattling on so many other people that no one in the emergency service realm could do their jobs throughout the state. So they all called the governor's office and said, hey, we can't do this anymore. Another reason that we put the burn ban in effect was to have more access to emergency personnel, and it didn't work out well. And I'm for it, Kagan. I want everybody to wear a mask everywhere everyone goes. But how do we police that again, and the number of calls that dispatch is going to receive? Mr. Donald saw the guy, the medicine with a mask on. So you're going to get all these calls from the guy, you know, Sprint Mart didn't have their mask on with the chicken, or down here at Larson's, or, you know, how many calls do we expect to get, and how do we just routinely, I mean, do you ticket every 24 hours? Do you ticket per instance that's been called in? You know, what is the procedure for if we were to say yes to this motion? How it would be handled?
I think if the mayor tomorrow morning made calls to Don Larson and Bobby Turnage and the folks at Sprint Mart and some person at Dollar General and said, the city board has put in effect for the safety of this community that we need your staff to wear masks, I don't think we would have enforcement issues. I don't think Don Larson, I think he would take care of it. And I think the same is true of the Turnages. And the manager at Sprint Mart, I'm confident in her ability to manage her people. And Dollar General, they have 4 employees.
I believe that too. So would we then want to give the mayor a chance to go to all of the businesses who do serve food, and lots of people gather and get gasoline and buy groceries and pharmaceuticals, to ask for a suggestion first and see if, I mean, if you say they're going to comply now with the ordinance, if we address the, you know, ask them, do you think they would comply without having the ordinance? Because I'm really looking at how many phone calls. I mean, Chief Mangrum, how many, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this question. How many people do we have at work at the police department in a typical day during 8 to 5 business hours?
That's one of those questions I will answer privately. I'm not willing to put that out right now. I can't give
tell
that.
you we have 11 total officers. Is that about right?
That is correct.
So people can you can discern for yourselves how many people might be on duty at a time. I'm not trying to make anything unsafe. I'm trying to make a different point.
Right. I don't mind saying we have 11 and we're covered 24/7, but at any given time, I'm not willing to release who.
Right, and I would never ask that. So I'm torn because I'm a nurse practitioner and I want if we could make an ordinance to cover everyone's face, I would do that. But then you have to take into consideration, I am an elected official and I'm trying to represent everyone who lives in our city and make the best decision that we can make given our emergency declaration being in place.
Okay, so let me get back to Kagan's original motion, because are we talking just groceries? Are we talking the Sprint Marts, the Shell, what is it on by Herbie?
My motion is for the grocery stores and the medical supplies. Without offense to anybody, I consider the gas station food is discretionary. It's I think the grocery stores, and honestly, the grocery store, if our citizens had 2 options and one was masked and one was not, I would say just go to the one that you feel safer at, but they don't. So I would say our grocery store, our Dollar General, and our pharmacies is what I intend by my motion.
So we now have, what, 2 pharmacies in town?
Okay, let me say this. As I said earlier, I feel like that putting the faith in our people in Water Valley, by asking them to do something like if the mayor goes to Larson's or the food industries or any place that sells food, whether it be the Shell station or the Sprint Mark or whatever. I honestly feel like that if our mayor goes to those people that runs those businesses and ask them first, before we mandate anything, that we will get results. That's my feelings.
And we could have a special meeting after Mr. Donald talks to everyone. We have 6 gas stations, and every single one of those gas stations sells groceries. So if we're going to say groceries, you can't just say the grocery store, because I'll be honest with you, I can go down to Dollar General and buy all the groceries I need without going into a grocery store that has the, what is it, NICS code of the grocery store. So we have to be really specific on what we mean.
I think Cinnamon's idea of public announcements, public education by the city through the local newspaper, regardless of y'all's decision, I think that idea was excellent. David thought it was a good idea, and anyways, I just want to put that out there.
So is there?
Is there a second to Kagan's motion, or is okay,
I think we need to explore other avenues, and if we don't see a change,
okay,
then we
so
can
the
come back
motion,
and
the motion would die without a second, but I still will visit, and I think they all will get it. Certainly, as we've said, the Larson family has always stepped up, and I think I fussed at Don personally for being in the store because I don't think he needs to be there, but he was masked. That's kind of a different thing, but I will talk with him. I will talk with, I saved the number of the executive with Dollar General that has ties to Water Valley, so I will call him. I will talk to the others. I will talk to the Sprint Mark people, the Turnages, Lee Lott down at the new pharmacy. I think they'll all will agree. And if we don't see,
the Shell, we've got 6 gas stations.
I will see all of them, and then the others have got to fall in the guise of the governor's orders come Thursday if he doesn't change that order for restaurants and all. So
thank you, Mayor. I think a lot of this is shuffling the who's the bad person. And I think, honestly, we would make it easier on our business owners if we were willing to take that bullet. But if we want to see if they'll bear that mantle, that's fine. If they don't, I will raise this topic again.
And we should.
I
believe that we haven't taken any steps publicly yet. So I'm proud to see that we're actually discussing it and that we are discussing it publicly and actually reaching out to the public and having a candid discussion. Like I said, if it were up to me, everybody needs to cover their face. But on the other hand, we have to look at other things like how to police it. I know I sound like a broken record. These are things that we have to juggle and look at into the future and see how it's going to work.
We will give a David. Oh, are we there? No, Connor, something happened.
Oh, we can still see you.
You can still see me? All I see is Zoom.
Oh, we can hear you.
Still see you. You must have clicked off the app.
No, I didn't touch. I don't know. I must have. Oh, well.
There should be a little app icon at the bottom of your screen. if you're on a computer
There we
or a
go.
laptop.
You must have rolled it without meaning to. Okay, I just got kind of a general little statement because I know I have been accused of being an absent mayor doing this thing, but and not from any of y'all. Don't get me wrong. This I don't do Facebook, so they don't see me on Facebook making announcements like the mayor in Oxford does or something. But let me tell you what I've been doing. I have been meeting with all of our city people. Commend our electric department because all y'all know we had a pretty good storm Easter night. Those guys worked from 11 o'clock Sunday night to about 2 o'clock Tuesday morning, nonstop. And though I was trying to get them to stop, they got a few hours rest and then went out and started helping Tallahatchie, getting customers, and they worked all the way through the end of that week with Tallahatchie Valley, helping them. I met with our city employees and the street departments, water departments. We have gotten St. Michael Scroggins to Jackson to pick up hand sanitizer in a 5-gallon container so they can have hand sanitizers. I have met with them and we've been trying to keep our city going. That's what I've been doing. I haven't been an absent mayor. And I've been accused of that by a couple of people. So I wanted just to make that general statement. Again, it was no one on the board, and I appreciate all y'all's support, and I appreciate you staying in contact with the people, informing me when you get calls and things. I need to know what's going on. But I do appreciate y'all's support. I don't appreciate being called an absent mayor. I just tell you, I don't appreciate that. And to the public, I have shared my phone numbers with people. You can call me. We're trying to get through this thing together, and no one has the answers. We've never faced this before. As a world, as a country, as a state, as a county, or as a city. All the disasters we've faced in the past have been pretty local. We had Katrina that basically affected Louisiana and Mississippi. And we had help from all over the United States and actually in some foreign countries. And all kind of disasters like this, we've had support from other places, but right now we're all going through it together and no one has the answers. There's people a lot smarter than me that don't have the answers. We're just trying to do the best that we know how to do. So with that, if anyone else has anything that we have not had on the agenda, y'all always have the right to bring something up. We'd be glad to entertain anything else.
Okay, and as far as your motion, I mean, would you put a specific list of businesses in that motion? Because otherwise it's going to be hard to identify.
I think
without a second right now, so
I think the mayor.
I still will talk with all of them.
Yeah, the mayor has it, and then if a business is aggressively not complying with our request, we can readdress.
And y'all will see if they are or not, okay? And if y'all don't, someone will, and someone will call you, for sure. And
I just have, so the students rolled out the Water Valley Main Street, I'm sorry, not Main Street, the Water Valley, Mississippi website. It's live, watervalleyms.com. We put the agenda, the city board meeting information out there. If the mayor has anything that he'd like to say publicly to the whole community outside of social media, he has a platform to do that now. And we also, they managed to build the part of the site that will allow us to put all of our ordinances up there. So we put one test up there. So the zoning ordinance is up, and then we'll slowly be able to add and digitize all of our ordinances, which is it was a thesis project for those two students, and we're really proud of them.
They did great. It looks good. And
Yeah,
you may have to teach me how to to update that when I want to make a statement on there.
I will do that.
Okay.
I just had one, everybody, if you're driving by the Big Yank building, it's a miracle. All the folks that are working up there have kept on schedule through all of this. And we would have more windows in there if the windows weren't being blown out as fast as they're put in because the wind is blowing so hard.
I was able to tour with Warren the other day, and it looks remarkable. It really does.
So we're really proud of all the folks up there.
Okay, if nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second motion, Herbie seconds. All in favor, say good night. Thank y'all.